Welcome to the week ahead reading for July 6th through 12th. Today we'll be using oracle cards from the Moonology Manifestation Oracle Deck. I've pre-channeled this reading, so I'm going to be going through my notes to recap everything. I had pulled 3 cards, so we will go through each of those in sequence, and then I'll fold in some of the astrology in our analysis segment, so make sure to stick around for that. The first visual that came in was scissors immediately paired with cutting ties. This feels very long overdue. And I got brought to our first card right away, which is the new moon in Taurus, Know Your Worth. And the accompanying message was bullseye. And I had a longer quote that came along with this. This is more than relationship inventory. This is about your time and effort, how you care for yourself, and where you envision going. This could be travel or dreams for the future. So when we're talking about knowing our worth, understanding our worth, we're trying to think holistically about how we are operating, how we are expressing that understanding of that value. All week long, we want to ask ourselves, how can I live better for my higher self or highest potential? When we get to Wednesday, that came through as a bit of a milestone marker in the week because there's some sort of disruption to that foundation that we are building. And here we flip over the second card, and I will tell you that when I flipped over the first card and when I flipped over the second card, I started laughing. I was like, why are these so perfect? New moon in Aquarius, open up to change. So we have a disruptor. This is a sign. The modern ruler is Uranus, sudden change, disruption, opening up to change. Taurus, notoriously known for not really being open to change. We're working on the foundation in understanding what we already have. And then this is some sort of a curveball that comes in around Wednesday. We are still in new moon energy and fixed sign energy, which means that we're thinking about a beginning and we're also reinforcing, embodying, or building in some capacity because of that fixed energy. The pivot point from Taurus to Aquarius really means that our attention is pulled to what could be different. And as a result, we are looking at circumstances with a bit of a wider lens. This brings us to Saturday through Sunday in particular, received a call out, where we have more of a settling in energy. This could mean that we are going back to pre-change. So the change came in, we see it, and we're like, okay, yeah, whatever. And we just go back to what we were already doing or trying to ignore it. Or that we are actually recalibrating based on the change that came up. Here, the choice is completely yours what you do with this change. And for our last card, we have yet another fixed sign, not a new moon, but pretty darn close. First quarter moon in Leo. Be humble. We are definitely going back here because if you think about the messaging of the first card, we have know your worth and then being humble. There is a bit of a parallel contrast connection between the two of them. It felt like, honestly, it was a 50-50 situation of whether you are just fully reverting back and knowing your worth or if you are readjusting. But either way, this humility, whichever fork you happen to take, if you're fully going back here, knowing your worth, okay, well, make sure you stay humble and you don't get a big head about it. But alternatively, if you're focusing on more of the change piece, then we want to check in on that humility so that it'll actually encourage us to keep going. If we're staying humble, if we're staying, I know we're talking about earth energy here, but we're staying rooted in our authenticity and that potential, this will help us to keep going. So again, whichever route that you take, there is an application for this messaging. And final thoughts. The new framework or construction that's happening this week really can be viewed as a new approach. It's less about a new chapter or era, which is a theme that has come up many times throughout this year. having, in the strictest terms, a new beginning. It's about how we are approaching what comes up. So, very simply, just look at the mantras that we have: know your worth, open up to change, be humble. These are instructions for how to respond to what is going on and how to conduct yourself regardless of what comes up or stays the same. Very quick analysis. I did already mention during the reading, we have 2 new moons, 1 first quarter moon, 3 fixed signs. We have 1 earth, 1 air, 1 fire. What we're missing here, of course, is that water energy. If we were completing all of the fixed signs, then we would be including Scorpio, but alas, only 3 cards. Looking at the astrology on Monday, so right at the start of the week, which is picking up on some of this energy, we have the Aries moon that kicks off around 11 a.m. Eastern time. And then we still have more Aries energy as we go into Tuesday, where in the morning time around 7 a.m. Eastern, we have the Neptune retrograde beginning. So if you want to learn about that transit, I talk about it in my astro weather report. So make sure to watch that. It's in part 1, where I was discussing Mars and Neptune. So you'll want to check that one out. On Wednesday, which is the day where that surprise is supposed to come up, interestingly enough, that's when the moon goes into Taurus. So we had this period of time at the beginning, which is representing the Taurus energy, but it's very Aries fiery. And then the moon goes into Taurus, but that's when we're tapping into this air energy for the Aquarius thing that is popping up. That's in the afternoon Eastern time. Then we have Thursday, which, reminder, that's when we're jumping into the last card. Thursday to Saturday was that main window for this one. It's on this day that we have a notable transit, which is Venus going into Virgo. Again, that is another Earth activation. Venus, the ruler of Taurus. So we keep having these little callbacks and reminders about this first card, which does make a lot of sense with the messaging that came through throughout the week. Same thing, if you want to learn more about Venus and Virgo, you can check out my second weather report where I discuss a bunch of different, it's really a miscellaneous mixed bag of just picking and choosing different transits. So I do have a couple Venus transits in there, including this ingress. That's happening on Thursday in the afternoon Eastern time. Then Friday, we have a Gemini moon. So then now we're tapping into air energy, but in a different capacity. And whenever we have a Gemini moon, we are thinking, talking, teaching, processing. And remember where we are at this point in the week. We're sitting fully in that being humble energy. We might be thinking, processing, reflecting, as in going back to what we were thinking about, understanding at the beginning of the week. And then, of course, thinking about what do we do next? How do I respond to the change that had come up? No notable astrology on Saturday, but on Sunday, we have the moon entering Cancer. Finally, we get some water introduced into the equation, but at the 11th hour, it's around 7 p.m. Eastern time. So we pretty much go waterless the entire week. And we just have that little flavor of it on Sunday, which I guess makes sense because it was outside of the scope. I don't really know why this reading kind of only went to Saturday. Maybe it's a time zone thing. So it could be that if you're in a time zone that is farther ahead of mine, it is into your Sunday. But Cancer moon later on that day, and then even later, around 3 hours later, we have the Mercury Cazimi. So that portal will be late Sunday going into Monday, where we can capitalize on that. Again, more details on that in the second astro weather report. If you are watching this first thing in the morning on Monday, then it's not too late to sign up for my mini psychic reading class. I'm going to be offering free readings for 45 minutes to an hour starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Insight Timer. In case you did miss that, not too late to attend my second class of the week. I'm actually doing 2 classes on the 11th, which is this Saturday. Again, interestingly enough, kind of is tapping into a little bit of our timeline. It's like the end of the week. And I'm going to be doing a meditation and journaling practice. I do this every month where I channel whatever the meditation actually is, whatever song I'm going to play. Are we doing breath work? Is there any sort of movement? Are we visualizing? Are there mantras or affirmations? Yada, yada. And then some accompanying journaling prompts. So it's a nice, relaxing reset. Honestly, probably good for some of the energy this week, checking in. I will be very curious to see what comes through. I typically will channel a day, maybe two before. So from the time I'm recording this, that's kind of far out from now. So I am definitely going to forget this whole channeled message. It'll be interesting to see what comes through for their practice and how maybe it ends up relating to some of these themes, in particular the humility piece. And lastly, if you're interested in learning about astrology, I do have a lot of great resources on my YouTube channel, some on my website as well. But I encourage you to take my course. I released in March my Astrology Foundations course, where I go through, honestly, so much information. All 12 zodiac signs. I go through all of the planets, rulerships, dignities, timing techniques. Like, there is a lot of information. I have 6 different workshops, all have videos. It's like almost 4 hours worth of videos. I have accompanying workbooks. So there's 3 different workbooks with worksheets that go throughout. There's fill-ins, there's tables, there's pages that you can use as reference guides, and also places where you can do a bit of analyzing and introspecting on your own chart and understanding yourself. But of course, you can also apply this knowledge to interpreting other people's charts in your life, or just kind of poking around and looking to explore astrology as a really valuable tool for introspection, personal development, and prediction as well, if you want to use it for divination purposes. Please let me know if you have any questions about my course, the logistics of it. I do have a lot of details and specifics around how it works, how it's set up, what's included on my website. If you just go to my shop and then click on the details for the course itself, you'll have a full overview as well as some screenshots. But yeah, happy to chat about it if you want to have a better understanding of the value and if it works with where you're at in your learning. And I do like to specify that everything that I produce for my business, whether it is a blog post, whether it is a guidebook or a course, I don't use any AI. It just comes from my own brain, my intuition, and research that I do manually, looking at different websites, listening to podcasts, reading books, things that I have on my bookshelf off screen here. And I don't use any of those tools. I feel like there wouldn't really be that much value if I just was regurgitating something that you could just find elsewhere. So it really is from my own vision and crafting and what I want to talk about. And then, of course, you're seeing me having crafted a course, teaching it, explaining it, editing it, creating workbooks. So it is really fully what I am looking to teach and explain. And I do want to mention, before I forget, I have some really great analogies in there too. So ways that you can map on understanding the houses, the signs, and all of the different major components in astrology so that it'll give you some new frameworks. And that is 100% from my brain that I came up with based on nothing else. So if you would like to support a small business owner like myself who is doing it the old-fashioned way, then consider heading to my shop, looking at any of the resources that I have, some of which are free, but others are paid. And if you really want to learn about astrology, it is a wonderful, wonderful place to start.